Hello, flamingos, and welcome to another Weight Loss Wednesday. I hope you're all caught up on Monday's episode. If not, go back and give it a listen. But let's get started right now with viewer questions from flamingos just like you. Okay, so this one came in and it goes, hey, question. When you were losing your weight, did you only count your calories or did you also count things like carbs, etc.? Great question. I only counted calories. Just the calories. It's the calories that matter. I know, especially protein right now, there is so much. Oh my God, if you're not eating, your goal body weight in grams of protein every day, you're doomed and, you're going to gain 12 pounds this week. And there's a lot of, forgive me, but hysteria about macros right now. And it just seems to fluctuate. We had that, it was the low fat craze. And then we went carbs, the root of all evil. And now protein is the big weight loss savior. Yeah, it's the calories. It's the calories. So long as you're in a calorie deficit, you'll lose weight. If you're not in a calorie deficit, you will not lose weight. Period. That's it. We can complicate this as much as we want. We can talk about hormones. We can talk about satiety. We can talk about water retention because of your sodium intake. There are a whole bunch of different ways that we can come at this. But the horrible, harsh reality is if you're not in a calorie deficit, you will not lose weight, no matter what else is going on in your life. You can focus on the macros if you want to, so long as that focus on the macros ultimately ends up in a calorie deficit, you're good to go. If tracking your carbs also puts you in a calorie deficit, have at it. Go nuts. Some people like to track their macros for a bunch of different reasons. I know the apps can be very macro centric and they like to tell you what percentage of your carbs you've had so far today and you're over in your protein, or however your app tends to be laying this out. You can ignore it. You can completely ignore it. Focus on the calories, especially if you're just starting out. Meet yourself where you are. There is enough shit to worry about. There is enough stuff to get your head around. You've got enough irons in the fire without worrying about, okay, now I've got to make sure I'm in a deficit. And I have to make sure that, 30% of those calories every day are coming from carbs and 30% of those calories are coming from protein. However, it's getting broken down. No, you don't need any of that stress. It's completely unnecessary. You're stressing yourself out for absolutely no reason. Focus on the calories and the rest of it will come. Question number 2 today is I'm really struggling with a plateau. Any tips? Yes, I do have tips. Keep going. Keep going. The only way out is through. The only way to break through to the other side of a plateau is to keep going through the plateau. You just have to keep pushing. And for the record, the jury, like science, is out on this one. We're not sure if plateauing actually is a thing or if it really does exist, but it definitely seems to be a psychological phenomenon that happens to a lot of us. So we're going to address it as though it were a very real thing because it's real enough that it's happening for a lot of you. All you can do is keep going. I mean, you can give up. You can say, well, I'm plateauing. This is it for me. I'm done. I'm just going to stop. But that's it's definitely not the best choice long term. And it's probably not a great choice short term either. And you might be thinking, well, if I just take a little break, I'll reset and I'll come back more focused and this will go better. No, probably not, because there's something very discouraging about that whole cycle of starting and stopping and beating yourself up and feeling bad about yourself and then finding the motivation just find the motivation to keep going. One thing at a time. Typically what's happening during a plateau is that you're not tracking accurately. You're missing something. And it could be that your inaccurate tracking hadn't caught up with you before now because you were in enough of a deficit or you had enough calories to play with it. There was some buffer there. But a lot of the time, I hesitate to use the word, but most of the time, they're tracking inaccuracies that are leading to this. So you're in a plateau, the scale is stalling, you're starting to feel frustrated, go back to basics. That would be my tip for you there. Are you actually tracking as accurately as you think you are? And the scale's not moving and you believe you're in a deficit. So the short answer there is no, you are not tracking as accurately as you think you are. That's also the long answer for the record. Just no, you're not tracking as accurately as you think you are. So I would very much go back to those basics. You might need to break out your kitchen scale again. If you've been eyeballing things, you're like, oh yeah, I know how much a tablespoon of butter looks like. Right on. Let's make sure that you're still accurate. Because, and especially as you progress through your weight loss journey and you have fewer and fewer calories to play with, you've also got a lot less wiggle room to play with. So this is when you need to be getting more and more accurate. And sometimes you do need to revisit. Are you sure it's a tablespoon? Are you sure that you're pouring 2 cups of cereal into your favorite bowl? Because when you eyeballed it 6 months ago, you knew exactly what 2 cups looked like and you were nailing it every time. Has it snuck up to 2.5 cups? Because if you have fewer calories to play with, those little bits, those little incremental bits more can be causing the scale to stall. In the exact same way that when you're starting out, I urge you to do the reverse, right? We go incrementally, just a little bit less of a whole bunch of little things all over here that are all going to add up to equal our 500 calorie deficit. The opposite of that can happen as well. And it can happen very quickly, especially with calorie dense foods, especially with our spread sprinkle pours. Okay, this was a much longer question, so I'm going to need to go back and check my notes on this one. The question was, I've never liked breakfast. Me neither. So when I get up and have a protein shake and a cup of tea, I really and honestly just don't want anything else until about 5 in the evening. So I always end up having just the one meal. Do you think this is going to make things harder for my weight loss? No, I don't. And if we circle back to our last question for a minute, it's the calories. It's the calories. And there has been so much misinformation on this. Calories can't tell time. They can't. Know anybody who works shift work? Yeah, they can't. We went through and we've gone through some insane crazes with this. Do you guys remember when they told us that the only way to lose weight was if you ate at least 6 small meals every day? 6 to 12 small meals a day. That'll do it. And front load your day. Make sure you get that breakfast in there because that's the most successful one of, if not the most successful marketing campaign of all time. They managed to convince the whole world basically that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And really, that's just an advertising slogan. It isn't. Calories can't tell time. Part of sustainable weight loss and weight loss maintenance is learning when your body best responds to food, not just with regard to how you digest it and how, you feel mentally and emotionally, super important too, but how it feels with regard to satiety. I know that I have found, depending on when I eat during the day, I will feel more or less satisfied. Your body works like that too. It's just a matter of taking the time to figure that out. Because when we eat is a critical part of this. And we think that we don't have an emotional connection to the time of day that we eat, and we absolutely do. And this question typifies that perfectly for us, because here we have somebody who's doing all the right things by the sounds of it. There was a lot more information here, but we're doing all the right things, but we're beating ourselves up because we have an idea in our heads that if we're not eating breakfast, we're not going to lose weight and we're doing something wrong. No, I lost all of my weight skipping breakfast pretty much every single day of the entire time that I was losing weight, because I'm very much the same. I don't like breakfast. I don't want to eat breakfast. If I don't eat breakfast, I don't think about food. It's not on my radar until much later. Sounds to me like that's the way your body rolls. Roll with it. Go with it. If that's how you feel most satisfied, don't let some outside pressure tell you and dictate the terms of your relationship with food. We're shutting all of that down. This is about you. What works best for you? Sounds like you have found something that's working very well for you. So please don't let the noise get in your head. It's not going to be harmful to your weight loss journey so long as you're in a deficit. You can gain weight eating one meal a day if you're in a calorie surplus. And I can certainly do that. It's At this point, it's pretty easy for me to do. My TDEE is sitting around 1,700 calories. All I need to do is consistently go over that, and I'm going to gain weight. And I can absolutely take down 1,700 calories in an hour in a single sitting. Easy. I like calorie dense foods. That's super easily done. I don't even need to have dessert to hit 1,700 calories in one sitting. So it's about the spacing, because the calories can't tell time. So it's about what works best for you and what feels best for you physically and emotionally and mentally when it comes to how you feel about what you've eaten. For this next one, we're going to combine a whole bunch of questions into one. These ones come in on Instagram. They come in almost any time I do a recipe post, and someone will say to me, can I use blueberries instead of raisins? Can I use bananas instead of carrots? I don't like capers. Can I put in scallions? Yeah, absolutely you can. And I build out my recipes the way that I do to make that easier. So instead of just the traditional recipe where you're just given, here's all the ingredients and the quantities, which of course I do that too. I also include the individual calories for each one of those ingredients. So let's say we're talking about my carrot muffins. You want to swap out the raisins. They're pretty calorie dense. I don't blame you, but I really do like raisins, especially in a carrot muffin. So we're going to swap out those raisins right on. All you have to do is deduct, you get your total number of calories there, deduct the number of raisins, insert the caloric value for the blueberries you want to put in, or the walnuts, or the cherries. It really doesn't matter. I very deliberately and very consciously chose to build out my recipes in a way that you could do that, because we don't all like the same things. And I know, especially with something like raisins, not everybody likes raisins. Same with chocolate chips. Some people want to be able to swap something else in. It's a good way to do recipe building when you know how many calories are in each one of the ingredients, because that way you can make those swaps. It's so much simpler. Our last one today is definitely a Gladys question, but we're going to handle it like it's not, because I don't know, that just seems like the right thing to do here. It gets tiresome though. So this one came in and they want to know, how old am I? Are you trying to look like a child? It's two questions, but we're going to let Gladys do a 2-for-1 today. I am 46 years old. I will be 47 in April, and I'm very excited to be turning 47 in April, not because there's anything special about the number 47, although it is an odd number and I do like those. But no, there's nothing special about that. It's not a significant year. I just probably should be dead. So any birthday I get, I view as a pretty special bonus. I'm very, very happy to be here. So there's that. Am I trying to look like a child? No, I'm not. Kids think it's pretty funny though. I love going to the grocery store because you'll get like a toddler up in the cart and they'll either be afraid of me or very unsure, or they assume I'm a cartoon character, which is always kind of fun. I do and I don't understand the impulse that we have to tear other people down for things as inconsequential as their hair choices. I think I was talking last week about the hair and the earrings and all that stuff that I used to do to try and draw attention away from my body and from my weight. Clearly that's not the issue now. It's just I almost died. So not to put too fine a point on it, but I just don't give a fuck. And I really don't care. It's fun for me. When I first got home from the hospital, I was still very sick and my hair had fallen out. Not all of it, but a sizable chunk of it. And it all had to be cut off. And I would look in the mirror or even just catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror, and the voice in my head would pop up and just go, "Oh, monster. You look like a monster." And I felt that way for a long time. There's some scarring, and for the first bit I still had a lot of tubes and things, and I was pretty self-conscious about them, and I needed a walker, and I really did. Every time I looked in the mirror, the voice in my head said monster. And it was a hard thing for me to deal with, because even when I'd been at my absolute heaviest, I never felt that way. And I was quite overweight. I needed to lose 100 pounds at that point, but I wasn't 200 pounds overweight, right? There is a big difference, or there's a big difference for me between carrying 200 extra pounds of weight and carrying 100 extra pounds of weight. So no, I'm not trying to look like a child. I'm just trying to be who I am. And life's too short. I run into people all the time who will comment on my hair, and most often it's an older woman. And this actually happened to me just last week. I was taking my middle boy to his bagpipe lessons, and we were on our way in to the hall to do them. And there was, I don't know, she wasn't an old lady. She was just a little bit older than me, I guess. I don't know, 60s, 70s maybe. And she just looked at me and she said, "Oh God, I wish I had your courage. I wish I was brave enough to do that." And I just looked right back at her and I said, "You do, you can, just do it." And then I explained to her, I taught her how I do this. Um, I don't do it because I'm brave. I do it because I want to. I do it fully aware that by choosing to walk through the world with fluorescent pink hair, people are going to judge me. People are going to make all kinds of assumptions about the type of person I am and the way that I think and the way that I move through the world. And I'm really okay with that. I think I think that probably does tie back to the time when I was 200 pounds overweight. It may still be a holdover from drawing attention away from my body and giving people something else to look at and something else to talk about. I'm also pretty good with skewing people's expectations. I'm very fine with people taking one look at me and deciding they know everything there is about me, and then I open my mouth to speak, and we kind of upend those expectations just a little bit. I'm not going to lie. There's a part of me that really actually kind of enjoys that. So that's part of it. But I do it for myself. I I'm not trying to look like anything. I just want to look like me, and this is how I feel happy. Well, this week we're just doing a quick weight loss Wednesday. Make sure you send me your questions. I'd love to know what you guys want to know, and I will keep answering these funny little personal ones as well. You know where you can find me, and I know you guys aren't always going to want to comment on posts publicly with your questions. I understand and respect that. You can send me a DM on Instagram. You can go to my website, disruptingobesity.com, and under the podcast tab, there's a thing there where you can submit a question if you'd like. I keep everybody anonymous. So I hope you have a wonderful week. I will see you back here on Monday.